Now, over and over again, we hear that Bernie Sanders is unelectable. I mean, yeah, he won a few states here and there, but they were, they were weird and majority white, right? So they don't really count. Now, he could never win in a place like Michigan, right? I mean, all the polls had him between 20 and 30 points behind Hillary Clinton. There was no way he could have won Michigan, right? Well, last night, Bernie Sanders not only outperformed the polling, stunned the pundits, and won the state of Michigan. Damn. Now, with 99% reporting, Sanders has about 49.8% to Clinton's 48.3%. Now, that's a close race, right? It's a very, very close win, but it is a win. Now, the important thing to that is that since it is proportional, they both have ended up splitting the delegates. Now, Hillary also won in Mississippi last night. So, in delegate count, she comes out slightly ahead. So, guys and gals, got a lot of work to do, right? But however, the victory here is that you cannot discount a win in Michigan. You can't call it weird. You can't say that it's majority white. No, we're not majority white. We're representative of a lot of the different states in the union. We're representative, right? They can't discount that anymore. Corporate media is going to have to stretch a very, very far, very, very far to try to spin this shit. They can't ignore it. Now, 538, if you remember, the polling place, Nate Silver, they actually had Clinton's odds of winning 99-1. What happened? Now, they called this win, quote, one of the greatest upsets in modern political history. Wow. And as an added bonus, 538's Harry Enton writes, quote, Bernie Sanders made folks like me eat a stack of humble pie on Tuesday night. Oh, you like that pie? Pretty good pie, right? A little bit of burn on the side. Now, why does he say that? Why was Michigan so important? A lot of people might look at it and say, well, it's just one state. Okay, she's still ahead in the delegate math. She still has superdelegates. Why is it so significant? Well, it's like this, right? Michigan has a sizable African-American population. Now, if they had all broke for Clinton like they did in the southern states, well, she would have easily crushed Sanders, and it would have been pretty much over. This was a must-win state. But see, he actually did better with the African-American community in Michigan. Now, he won about 30%. That's actually pretty good for Sanders. 3-10. That's not bad. Now, plus, CNN exit polls showed that more black voters trust Sanders to handle race relations than they trust Hillary Clinton. Now, that's significant because it may actually be reversing his trend among losing African-American voters. The longer the primary goes on, the more people know about Sanders, the more they learn, the more they see about his record, and contrast that record to Hillary Clinton. Fascinating. Now, another factor. Independents. He did very, very well with independent voters in Michigan. He got about 73% of independent voters. Now, this is important. Michigan was an open primary. Now, that means people who are Republicans can go and vote in Democratic primaries, which happened. Republicans can vote in Democratic primaries. And then you can have independents that go either way. Whenever there are independents, whenever there are open primaries, Bernie Sanders seems to do better. Why? Because he gets a lot of those independent votes. Now, young people, along with independents, make up a huge block of Bernie Sanders' voting base. And it turns out that all the big college towns here in my state turned out big for Senator Sanders, and that had a huge impact. So, what does that matter? Okay, well, that matters also in a general election because independents and young people make up a huge majority of the voting bloc in a general election. You want to win, you got to get a lot of independents, and you got to get a lot of young people. Now, another factor. Sanders actually did well with Muslims in Dearborn. Now, this is interesting. Dearborn is a city whose population is 40% Arab, and they voted overwhelmingly for Bernie Sanders. Interesting. he got 59 to 39%. Huge win. Huge. It's an amazing win. Now, another reason that this is very, very important is going forward, we have on March 15th, Ohio and Illinois. Now, those are two states with really big delegate counts up for grabs. Now, as of right now, polling shows Sanders behind in both of those states by about the same margin that he was behind in Michigan. Now, as we've seen, the polling wasn't all that predictive, at least in the case of Michigan, right? In fact, Bernie Sanders has consistently outperformed some of the polling. And even Hillary Clinton has outperformed some of the polling in some of her wins as well. Now, as Nate Silver said for the win in Michigan, quote, "It was among the greatest polling errors in primary history," meaning polls aren't necessarily as predictive as we tend to think that they are. So take them with a grain of salt. They can be changed. There are, ways where polling is inaccurate. Now, finally, that means that this race is pretty wide open. Now, Hillary Clinton, for example, is about out of southern states. What we're doing now is that we're heading now into Bernie country. Rust Belt states that have no loyalty to the Clintons or the establishment. And that is super important. Now, he does need some big wins to catch up in delegates. It's about 200 behind. So I got to reiterate, there is a lot of work to be done if Sanders wants to be able to catch up and overtake her. But the important thing, along with that, is that he is still in it to win it. Hillary Clinton's campaign and the media can no longer pressure him to drop out, at least not until March 15th, whatever happens. If he does well March 15th, he could very well go on to win it. If he does not do very well on March 15th, it may get to the point of where the math just doesn't work out for Senator Sanders. The whole point is that this race may just be a very long race. And Bernie, the good thing for Bernie is that he's got all the time he needs on his side.